Big news in the MMA world. We interrupt your regular scheduled broadcast of Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou to bring you this new news. Shaun Jones and Stipe Miocic, the fight for UFC 295 on November 11th is off. Shaun Jones is injured. I was really looking forward to seeing this fight, but by the looks of it, they're going to look like this picture right here before they actually end up fighting. Basically, Shaun Jones injured himself during training.
You know, Shaun Jones was training last night, got injured, he was wrestling, and he tore the tendon that connects your pec to the bone off the bone.
What a horrible injury. We've covered pec tears like this on the channel many times before. I'll link one of them up here and some down in the description. It's a horrible injury. You're talking 8 or 12 months out of the game. It's serious rehab, and your shoulder, your pec will never be the same again. We have to take into account now that Shaun Jones is older. We're not talking about someone in their 20s where a year out of the game isn't really going to impact their career that much. Shaun Jones, this was probably going to be the last fight he was ever going to take, and he's just got injured now. It's not really looking good for him. The good news is now we've got this fight. Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. Oh, I've got to say, I might be looking forward to this more than it was the Shaun Jones and Stipe fight. This is what the fans want to see. We want to see the young guns go at it. I know there's a few people who are new to my channel. If you'd like a little bit of a backstory on Pavlovich and Aspinall, Pavlovich is like a scary Russian. I can't show you much of this footage because it's copyrighted by the UFC, but let me just give you like a few seconds, little snippets of what Tom Aspinall is dealing with here. I'll show you some Tom Aspinall highlights as well. Look at this big, scary, square-head Russian on the right. Boom. Might be able to use some sound, actually. Look at him. Look at the power that he's got. Let me turn it up a little bit so you can hear. We've got Sergey Pavlovich versus Derek Lewis. Now, this was around the time when no one was going toe-to-toe with Derek Lewis. The Black Beast, the guy with the most knockouts in UFC heavyweight history. And this is what Pavlovich done to him.
I think that's what Pavlovich was talking about when he's talking about.
Look, toe-to-toe. Let's go. Come on. Look at him. He's just scared. Derek's hurt. He's scared. He's running away. No one does that to Derek Lewis. No one. Absolute square-headed diesel-destroying machine. If you know, you know. We had Pavlovich versus Taito Avasa, and Taito Avasa at the time was absolutely mowing down people. Here's another little snippet.
But that's it until this fight finishes.
Look at the power he possesses. Pavlovich's body shakes as he punches. He dropped him with a jab. And then he just absolutely unloads on Taito Avasa. Pardon, I can't show you it all because UFC will block this video. And then we've got Tom Aspinall. I can't really do his accent. He actually doesn't live too far from me. He's from the Wirral and he was training out of Liverpool, Cowbon. He's no longer training in Cowbon, not that I'm aware of anyway, which I think is a good move. But Tom isn't really a knockout artist. He's got knockout power. He's very, very fast. He moves like a welterweight, if anything, or maybe even a lightweight. Very bouncy on his feet. But he's an amazing, incredible submission artist. So if he gets you down, the chances are you're going to sleep or your arm's getting snapped, you're getting choked out. So it's a classic case of striker versus grappler. But Pavlovich can grapple a bit and Tom Aspinall can also punch a bit. See, so choking out Andrei Arlovski. If anyone knows him, he's been an OG since the early days of the UFC. He's a former heavyweight champion, so it's no joke choking him out. Now, granted, Arlovski is on the back end of his career. He's a couple fights away from retiring, pretty much. This is Tom when he was a little bit more puffy with a little bit of an afro.
Good head movement. And only 9 fights in his record as well. I think the problem for
Tom is six. Let me mute this sec. Tom is 6'5". Look at that for a knee and a 1-2. Absolutely phenomenal. Tom's 6'5", 250, 260 pounds, and you see how light on his feet he is. Sergey Pavlovich is very ploddy and just will walk you down like RoboCop. Bam, 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 bam. But he's still very fast as well. Yeah, so look at Tom's movement here. I can't show you too much of this, but just watch how light on his feet he is. So once again, this is where Tom does his best work. He takes you down, and then he's going to submit you. Chances are, if he takes you down, it's only a matter of time before you're done. Nice ground and pound. There we go. This is a more recent fight against Spivak. And let's also just appreciate how much muscle Tom has added. So he had a really bad MCL injury. I think it was MCL. Was it ACL? I think it was MCL. So he just took a long time off and started lifting weights and packed on a lot of mass. We can see here. Look at Tom's back. He's added a good amount of mass to his frame. He's filled out that 6'5" frame. He no longer looks skinny fat. Decently. because that's what he was previously. Now, Spivak here, who Tom's fighting, is also known for his grappling, but absolutely amazing strike. Let me just run that back again. Watch, he goes knee, then elbow. Absolutely phenomenal. Advanced high-level work right there, and then he gets the job done on the ground. Usually your video gets blocked if you show the full finish. So there we go. We got two absolute titans coming together, and they're young and hungry, and they're fighting for the interim belt. Now, talking about this fight itself, what's going on with Stipe Miocic? It was meant to be Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic fighting for the heavyweight title. Stipe hasn't fought in 2 years, I think, since the last Francis Ngannou fight. He's getting a little bit older now. Stipe most likely was offered this fight with Sergey Pavlovich or Tom Aspinall. What would have happened is Jon Jones got injured. The UFC would have called around to find a replacement for Jon Jones. Stipe has obviously turned it down. He doesn't want the fight. That's a mistake. He's going to be out for a while. So let's play it out. We've got Pavlovich Squarehead versus Tom Aspinall going to fight at UFC 295 November 11th. This is so exciting. The winner of that fight is probably going to defend this interim belt, which isn't common at all. No one ever defends an interim belt. It's usually someone wins an interim belt, and then when the champion is ready to come back, they come back and they unify the belts. But Jon Jones, if he does even come back, is going to be out for a year at least. So I think if Tom Aspinall wins it or Sergey Pavlovich wins this belt, I think they might actually defend the interim belt. And then when Jon Jones is ready to come back, he's going to jump straight into a title challenge. Jon Jones is going to come back and get straight back into the mix. It's not going to be Stipe Miocic. He can wait all he wants. I like Stipe, but I just think he's made a big mistake here. He can wait for the title shot, but I think he's going to be waiting a very long time. I think the UFC are just going to go, yeah, Stipe, oh, you don't want this fight with Tom Aspinall or Sergey Pavlovich? Okay, no worries. You go and sit on the sidelines then. We'll deal with this. And then when Jon Jones is ready to come back, we'll give him the first shot at the title. So Stipe is just going to sit there with no fight once again for another year or two. And the only option for Stipe really is if he takes a fight with a lower ranked opponent in the meantime, which I can't see him doing. It seems like he just wants to wait for that Jon Jones fight. I just don't understand why Stipe would have turned down this opportunity to fight for the interim title. He's only getting older and he's becoming more inactive, and we know that inactivity is one of the biggest reasons why people lose fights. It's one of the biggest things I've learned. For the most part, if a fighter's coming back off a long layoff, usually the safe bet is with the more active fighter. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Obviously, Jones was away for a long time and he came back, but he's the exception. Tom Aspinall was off for a good amount of time, but he's also an exception. Now, what they could do is Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich. They do this fight, and then when Jon Jones is ready to come back, they still put on that Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic fight, maybe. And then the winner of that Jones and Stipe fight will then fight the winner of Aspinall and Sergey Pavlovich. But we're talking about a long time horizon there. We're talking about this Pavlovich and Aspinall fight happening this November, and then having to wait a year before anything happens, just to wait for Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. I don't see it happening. I see whoever wins this fight actually defending it against someone, and then defending it again when Jon Jones comes back, or should I say unifying the belt when Jon Jones comes back. And one final point on Stipe. I love Stipe. He's one of the greatest heavyweights to ever do it, but it's arguable that these are the last of his prime years. Obviously, his prime's behind him. If you want to talk about his prime as a window of time, he's on the last little bit of the bell curve at the very end of his prime, if not a little bit past it, because of the ring rust and because he's sat out for so many years. So it seems like he's just going to go out with a fizzle. However, is it me, or do we all prefer this new fight that's just being made, Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall? Like, I'm super excited about this. The matchup is insane. Pavlovich, crazy Russian square head power. We've got Aspinall, who's an insane grappler with the speed of a lightweight and very bouncy and floaty. This is very interesting. We knew what was going to happen with the Stipe and Jones fight. Jones was going to come in, take Stipe down, bit of ground and pound, choke him out. Jon Jones goes down as the greatest of all time. The end. Stipe retires. And then we're back to the same position anyway. Who's going to fight? Where is the heavyweight division going? This fight with the young guns gives a little bit more direction for the heavyweight division. And also, if Jon Jones does come back, it's much more interesting to see Jon fight one of these young gun upcoming contenders than it is seeing Jon Jones fight an older, past his prime or on the end of his prime Stipe Miocic. And as I say, the heavyweight division is so thin. Aspinall and Pavlovich are the only real two legit threats a heavyweight who could maybe give Jon Jones a challenge. Obviously, you've got people like Cyril Gane, but he's already lost to Jon Jones. So as I mentioned, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic, we all pretty much agree that Jon Jones is going to win that. But imagine this, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall, or Jon Jones versus Pavlovich. All of a sudden, the water is a bit murky. There's an air of uncertainty surrounding these fights. Anyway, early prediction of Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich. Man, I'm in two minds about this one. Here's the two potential outcomes. This was my first thought. Okay, Sergey Pavlovich versus Tom Aspinall. Tom can get the takedown and submit or ground and pound Pavlovich, just like he's done in all of his other fights, and also Pavlovich had that happen to him by Alistair Overeem years ago. So yeah, Pavlovich lost it to Alistair Overeem. That was in 2018. That was his last loss, and he's been on at 6 fight win streaks since then, and it's all KOs and TKOs. Absolutely dominating right now. But that is Tom's best chance for victory here. Pavlovich just comes straight out the gate and starches Tom with his 84-inch reach and his crazy Russian square head power. I'd like to see Tom get it done because he's from my country. He's not far from where I live. He trains in a gym that I've actually done personal training in myself, but Pavlovich is a beast. It's hard to count out these Russians, especially one that looks like a polar bear with an absolute cinder block for the head. I'm kind of siding with Pavlovich, and here's some final stats to consider. Tom's record is 13 wins and 3 losses. Out of his wins, he's got a 100% finishing rate. On the other hand, take a look here. We got Sergey Pavlovich's record, 6 first-round finishes since 2019. He's got 18 wins and only 1 loss, and out of those 18 wins, only 3 are by decision. Take your pick. Who have you got winning this fight? Even if you don't know much about the UFC, I've seen a few of you lads in the comments say that I'm getting you into it a little bit. I'm getting you into MMA. You should do, because it's an amazing sport, and the reason why it can be more entertaining than boxing is because it's more unpredictable. There's more ways to get the job done. You can never truly say with complete confidence who's going to win an MMA fight because of how many different ways the fight can go. So who have you got winning this fight? Even if you don't know them, comment down below based on the highlights that I've shown you and the stats that I've shown you. Make a prediction. If you're watching the Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou fight this weekend, make sure you tune into my YouTube channel on Saturday. I'm going to do my first live stream so we can watch it together. I'm not going to be doing any crazy rants and all that, so we can't focus on the fight, but it'll just be good to watch it together, break down what's happening, maybe watch a couple of the prelims, and then do a little bit of a post-fight wrap-up. So make sure you've got notifications turned on the channel, and follow me on Instagram too, because I'm going to put it on my story when I'm going live. Right, okay, this is interesting. Things are heating up. Appreciate all the love and support. Like this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.